Okay, it is 9:20 and we only have a few short minutes together. So I am going to kick us off right away and say, welcome to your crash course in virtual meetings with Lizard Brain. Hi, I'm Lauren Green. I am an associate and partner with Lizard Brain. We are a virtual facilitation agency in Washington, D.C. We specialize in facilitating virtual meetings with visuals. So everything that we do has a visual element to it. We use visual templates, we draw on the wall, or in some cases now, our iPads, and we create spaces of engagement both in person and online. Recently had the pleasure of supporting a couple of events with Andy for the Africa group as well as the Latin America group, and thinking about some of their strategic planning efforts over the next year. And I've had a wonderful time working with those folks. And I've always liked to say that when it comes to virtual meetings, that it doesn't have to be worse than in person. It doesn't have to be worse, but it is going to be different. And there are some things that you can do to help make it a better experience for you and for your participants. And I've been overjoyed when I get the feedback of, I didn't realize that 3 hours could go by so fast. I didn't realize that a virtual meeting could be so productive, so energizing, so inspiring. And so I want to share with you a few tips and tricks that you can do. They're very simple in order to make your meetings more engaging. The first thing, and this is often missed in meetings, especially our routine meetings, is to always have a meeting startup. We call this an OARS: outcomes, agenda, agreements, and roles, OAAR. To always start with these 4 things in any meeting that you do. Outcomes: why are you here? We are here to energize your online meetings. Agenda: what are you going to cover during this meeting? We're going to do welcome. In a moment, you'll experience a breakout group. Going into a breakout group is a very quick way to energize and change up the momentum for the group. Give people a chance to talk to each other, get that face time. We're going to talk about how you can apply interval training for those of you who enjoy doing interval-based workouts. This is for you to your virtual meetings. And as we have time, I will throw a bunch of virtual energizers at you, as well as some closing key points and information. I'll give you a few resources just in case we don't get through all of the content tonight. Probably won't have time to do a whole lot of Q&A, so I'll make sure that you have my contact information, that you can email me with any questions you have after this. Agreements. So always starting a meeting, we don't like to call them ground rules because they're agreements. What will help make our meeting successful? Ask questions in the Zoom chat. Like I said, if we don't get to questions, I'll be sure to follow up with you an email, or you can email them to me afterwards. Chat to everyone. Don't chat to me privately, and that's because your question might be somebody else's question, and it would be very helpful if they can see that as well. And practice where it's safe. In these types of workshops and throughout the conference, you'll have moments to practice things in a space that you should not feel like you're going to be judged, and this is one of those spaces. So those are our agreements for today. And then last but not least, our roles. My role as your trainer is to share best practices and answer questions that you might have. And as participants, you are here to ask questions and try new activities, try something different. Any questions? So with that, here's your first activity. You're going to go right into breakouts. Anna's going to put you into some breakouts. And this is a very simple introduction activity called 3-in-1. With each person in your group, and you're going to be in groups of 4 to 5, you need to offer one thing that's unique to you, and then as a group, find 3 things that you have in common. My 2 colleagues, Brian and Aaron, and between us, I have 2 cats. Brian has 4 kids, and Aaron has a home that's like a 100-year-old child. Each of those is different for all of us, but we all happen to be second-generation facilitators. Each of us has a parent who was also a facilitator. We are all originally from the state of Virginia here in the United States, and we're all certified in the Myers-Briggs. So if you want to geek out on Jungian theory, you have your tribe. So that is the 3-in-1 introductions that you're going to do with your group. You're going to have about 5 minutes in your breakout. Introduce yourself, one thing that's unique to you, and 3 things you have in common. Are there any questions about the process? You can unmute or chat.
Lauren, can I ask you a question while we're waiting for people to come back?
Nope, because everyone's back now.
Okay.
Sorry. I have so much to tell you. I have no time. So, but I do want to hear your question, Kate. So if you can hang out for a couple minutes after the session, I'll make sure to grab it before we sign up. So welcome back from your session. I would normally give at least 10 minutes for that activity if you're going to do it with the group. And a lot of times when people come back to the session, it's really abrupt. So I like to say this. If you were that person in your group that got cut off at the end of the sentence, you know who you were. Everybody in your group wants to hear what you were going to say. So if you feel comfortable, please type the end of that sentence into the chat. And so just to use humor as a way to make some of the transitions that are just inevitable with virtual meetings a little bit more seamless for people. So I want to mention breaks, taking breaks. Here is our guidance on taking breaks in meetings. Take a break every 60 to 90 minutes for 15 minutes. Honestly, even a 5-minute in 60 is a great little moment, and encourage people to actually take the break. Don't check email. Your brain needs a rest. Do at least an hour for lunch. If you have to have a meeting that goes for a whole day, to take that hour for lunch, away from the computer and give people a long break. Open your room early and keep it open late. I mostly do follow the open room early principle. If you joined us a few minutes early, I usually have a slide up with an activity for people to do who come early. Sometimes I even play music as a way to welcome people into the space. I usually have some kind of slide up that says, welcome, take time to center yourself and write a statement of purpose or something you'd hope to get from this session. Just as an activity to get people interested. Take a break, rest your eyes. Like I said, actually take the break. To synchronous versus asynchronistic. What that means is just to say, sometimes we have to meet and sometimes we don't. Sometimes there are things that happen in meetings that we can actually accomplish offline. Use Google Timer for breaks. If you Google the number of minutes of your break, it will instantly pop open a timer and you can share that screen. And that way people know exactly what time they want to come back. And then be clear about self-selected breaks. I like to say host yourself. So at any point of the meeting, if you need to handle something in your space, to please feel free to do that. Always treat adults like adults, and please take the breaks that you need when you need them. Pay attention to participant body language. I'll just say with appreciation that it's really such a joy to see so many people on camera. I never require people to be on camera because sometimes just stuff is happening in the background and you just don't know. So again, I treat adults like adults, but I appreciate being able to see your faces because as a facilitator, it does give me some clues about your engagement. Every now and then I look over and somebody's laughing and that's giving me nice feedback and data. So thank you. Just gonna keep rattling on here because it's just a quick session. High impact interval training. If you have your camera on, raise your hand. If you don't, raise your hand in chat. If you've ever done a high intensity interval training workout, like Orange Theory or one of those. Okay, so the idea with high intensity interval training is that you always have a warm up and then you work hard for a short burst and then you take a break and then you warm up again and then have a short burst of concentrated activity and then you take a break. And the idea there is that you're more productive, your body is doing more in those short bursts when you have the downtime. So we apply that principle to online meetings by saying, have a welcome, do an energizer, that's the warm-up, like what you just did, the intros, and I'm going to give you a bunch more. Maybe have your presentation or the heady content, and then engage people with something like a poll. And then go into breakout rooms. Let's discuss that, what we just heard. And then have a rapid report out. Take a break. re-energizer, maybe your next presentation with maybe a chat Q&A type of thing to keep engagement. Then maybe jump into a Google Doc and have people type feedback and comments and then report out in next steps. So if you want, you can use this this diagram, might be a little bit small, but you'll get these slides as a way to help plan a meeting. So this is a formula for a 90-minute design, and it comes with a link to a, no kidding, Harvard Business Publishing article that yours truly, as well as my colleagues Brian Torello and Ray Ringgold, got published over the summer, that's about staying focused when teaching, or we apply the same principles to facilitating online. So thank you for working out your bodies and your meetings better. Thank you. We're very proud of that. So I'm going to rattle through a little bit more of what's in these slides, and I think we do have time to do an energizer, another energizer. So this first one is just an alternative to doing the breakout groups that we did earlier, where instead of doing the 3-in-1, just have people first write down your name, your role, an outcome, and one interesting thing about themselves. When people write down something before they have to say it, it helps them keep it brief. So if you really want to do a whole group introduction with 20 people, have them write their comment down before they say it, they'll do it quicker. And then you can always do this in breakouts as well and have people report back. I might have had you report back on your things that you had in common. I didn't just for the sake of time. Okay, life happens. Thank you, James. I want to do this energizer with you. I'd like for you to find an object in your workspace where you are right now that represents how you would like to feel about virtual meetings. An object in your current surroundings that represents how you would like to feel about virtual meetings. This is called a show and tell. And I'm asking you to do something that's relevant to our topic. So go ahead and find an object, whatever it means to you. And when you have it, to go ahead and hold it up. I'm going to hold up scissors because I like to cut the time down. Okay, I see ribbons and I'm seeing some little drawings. I see a big fluffy elephant pillow. Caitlin, tell me about your elephant pillow. What does that mean to you? Go ahead and unmute. Meeting in person, okay. And if I had more time, we would give everyone a chance to do a round robin and share what that means to them. And we love this activity because everybody loves show and tell. It gives you a chance to see into environment, humanize the virtual experience, and also is very relevant to the conversation. So I now know a little bit more about a few of you because you gave meaning to the object that you held up. So any energizers that we always do are purposeful. I'm going to send you a link to, or we're going to send out a link to a blog. It's in the end of this slide deck. It's called Purposeful Play, and it has more variations that you can do on any of these virtual energizers. So think about if you're ramping up to a presentation about your strategic plan, find an object that represents what you're excited about for the coming year. And now people are ready, mentally engaged for the topic at hand. We do a lot with renaming yourself in Zoom as well, because we do a lot of Zoom meetings. And if you're familiar with the rename feature, you can access it by hovering over your video feed in Zoom and clicking the 3 dots or ellipses and find the rename feature. And so we'll use this as a way to do a number of things. First, we can say, add the mood with which you would like to leave the meeting, the mood with which you would like to leave the meeting at the end of your name. And that's just kind of a fun way to get a sense of where people would like to be at the end of this. You can do that if you'd like right now. Of course, you can use this to include preferred gender pronouns, or to share location, especially in an organization like Andy with people all over the world, that the location one is great. Another one really key that's really helpful for this is opting into breakouts. If you want to give people the chance to opt into the breakouts, you could have a list of breakouts, what topics are happening in each. Ask people to put a 1, 2, or 3 next to their name, and now you can quickly sort people into breakouts, if that makes sense. So they're renaming using the rename feature to help us sort. Now, that being said, I believe Zoom just made an update. I haven't tried it yet myself, but there should be an update either out or coming out soon where participants will be able to self-select into breakout rooms, which is going to be a game changer. Imagine if you could just say, label a bunch of breakout rooms in Zoom and say, walk or virtually vote with your feet to the topic that you would like to discuss. And now you have people splitting up into small groups, which we know is the way to have impactful conversation. So the extroverts get airtime and the introverts feel safe. So having people go into small groups and even self-selecting using this new feature is going to be really, really impactful. We use a lot of chat prompts because it's super easy and takes next to no time. Again, if you're coming in or out of a presentation or throughout the presentation, include prompts. Always think about, where can I ask a question in this presentation? Before I tell someone what something is, what can I ask them? Put that as a slide, get people thinking about it, and then deliver the content. Always find that doing a question is a wonderful way to enter into a presentation. Here's another one. Let's do this since I'm talking so fast that we have a little time. Here are two pictures. This is based on an energizer that we love called Visual Explorer. Choose which picture represents how you currently feel about virtual meetings, and which one represents how you would like to feel about virtual meetings. So one represents how you currently feel, and one represents how you would like to feel. Now I would give people time to sit like this. But go ahead and either virtually raise your hand, or if you don't have camera on, raise your hand using the raise hand feature, or comment in chat if you have a response to this. Images create meaning, and a lot of times giving people an image from which they can speak about how they feel is a safer way for people to talk about feelings and to talk about where they see something. So you can use this activity with almost any topic to engage, and you can have more than 2 images. You can have 5. Love using Pinterest or Google image search to find images that resonate with you. Always do a stretch energizer. Very easy to just throw up a YouTube video with the stretch, or even offer a stretch yourself. I love to do pass the baton stretching, where I might start a shoulder roll and then I'd say, Natalie, over to you. What stretch would you like to do? And then we would all follow Natalie. You don't have to do it. These are a few resources for you. I have this will be sent out, link to Harvard Business Publishing, a few blogs that we love, and some free courses from earlier in quarantine. So some of the information has changed, but they are free, they're out there, and you're welcome to take them. Okay, I'm done. Over to you, Anna.